statistical, mathematical fact
never has been down.
has broken every single record. There is no asset that has come close.
It's the only thing in the industry that was not touched, that was not hacked, and it never fails doing what it promised in 2009. It's never
What's
failed.
the best performing asset the world has ever seen? And you'll find out that it's Bitcoin.
Bitcoiners, good evening. At least it's evening for me. Good evening. Good morning for some of you over in the Far East. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome. Another spontaneous live session here with Oliver Velez. Of course, my name is Oliver Velez. Come on in, guys. Make yourselves comfortable if you're available. Come on in. Let's talk about my favorite topic, Bitcoin. You know, let's do this. All right. The usual suspects I see are starting to pile in here. That's awesome. Come on in. Hope all is well. Hope you've been enjoying the goings on in Bitcoin land. It's a very, very exciting time to be alive. All right, guys. Long time no hear, a long time no see. No, I'm only teasing. I'm trying to do these things a little more regularly now because my time is limited. Your time is limited. All right. Come on in, guys. Welcome. Bitcoiners. We'll have some traders here as well. Traders from my trading world. Come on in. Supporters, haters, you're welcome too. Detractors of Bitcoin, you're welcome too. Everyone is welcome here. All right, guys. Yes, let's do this. Let's talk Bitcoin. I have a very interesting topic that I'd like to discuss with you. And this actually shouldn't take too long. This should not take too long. It's a topic that I can be fairly concise with, but that certainly has no indication on the extent of its power. It's a powerful topic that I want to speak to you about. And I want to talk to you about the topic or the subject of ownership and how ownership really hasn't really truly existed for us for a very long time. And while that concept or the word is alive and well today, the true essence of ownership, the true essence of property has really been chipped away over the decades in a very, very great way. And what's left of true ownership today, what's left of true property rights today is a shadow of what it used to be. And I want to talk to you about the fact that Bitcoin has come into our lives to bring true ownership and true property rights back to us. And it's come to do it in a global way. Sometimes throughout history, there have been various parts of the globe, various parts of the human civilization that had more ownership rights, more property rights than others. And it was somewhat sporadic. Bitcoin has come on the scene to basically allow for true ownership globally, evenly, fairly across every single human being at the same time. And that's quite amazing. It's come to bring about property rights, true, real, authentic property rights for every single human being on Earth without permission in a fair, decentralized way. And for the first, this is a first time event in the entire human species that every single person on planet Earth has access to this level of freedom, this level of rights, this level of true ownership, this level of property rights. Okay? So let's talk about ownership. Okay? The first thing before we can delve into the topic of ownership, we have to talk about what property is. Everyone is born with property. We come into our lives, we come into existence as a human being, and instantly we possess property, or excuse me, at least we're supposed to possess property, right? Our property is ourselves, our body. At first, that piece of property, that supposedly unalienable right of ours to be ourselves and to control ourselves. And many people confuse themselves with the body, but for all practical purposes, we're going to assume that they are the same, but they're not. But we're going to assume that they are the same for the purposes of this discussion, right? So we come into this world with a body. This is our first form of property, and it's first entrusted to our carekeepers, our developers, our nurturers, our parents. But as we become adults and go out into the world, this is our true first form of property. Property is supposed to extend, right? It's supposed to extend from the original property that we have. So anything that my body possesses becomes a part of the realm called my property. This is the way it's supposed to work. So your property starts from who you are and what you initially have as your body. You're supposed to have full rights over that property. We know that that's been chipped away over the years, but this is the way it's supposed to be. Anything that property, anything that your body rightfully obtains becomes the property of that body or the property of yourself. And some people amass more property than others, but that's just a side note. This is what property is supposed to be, okay? And one is supposed to have full ownership rights over one's property, starting from the original property, right? All right, basic enough, yes? Okay, good. Now, so the problem, what has occurred over time is that a select group of individuals, starting from, I don't know, kings, then lords, leaders, dictators, leading politicians, what have you, the controllers of money for the most part, they have found fit to find ways to take away property rights, or what is called true ownership. And in very artful ways, we've been left with the words property without its true essence. It's a shell today. We've been left with the word or the term ownership. But ownership today is false. It is a facade. And this is what I want to talk to you about, because Bitcoin is truly today the only thing that we have on earth that can truly, authentically be owned. It is the only thing that truly can be considered property. Property is really supposed to be something that you totally have for yourself and have total rights over. And so Bitcoin is the only thing today that you can have total rights over, that you don't need the permission of any human being on earth. It's the only piece of property that you can rightfully own. It's the only piece of property that no human being or organization or political party or faction in power can ever confiscate, take, or steal as long as you self-custody it properly, okay, it is a property that is always with you at every moment of your existence, awake or not awake. It is a piece of property that travels far and wide with you, that is never separated from you, in the same way that your body is always with you, sleep or awake. Wherever you travel, wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go today with Bitcoin, there you are. Whatever state you find yourself in, mentally, physically, emotionally, your Bitcoin is always with you. It can never be separated from you. And no man, no organization, no power that is in existence today has the right to take it from you, alter it in any way, influence it in any way. They can't confiscate it. They can't steal it. They can't do anything with it without your permission. And that is the essence of true property. And that is the essence of true ownership. Now, some people might take issue with me and say, Oliver, listen, I'm a property owner outside of my body. I own a piece of land. I own a home. I own a condominium. I own a farm. I own property. But in truth, do you really own it? I would beg to differ. You don't own it. Ownership today is false. It's a pseudo ownership that is ownership in word only. Homes, as an example. Homes are not owned by almost 100% of the people. Debt has been used as a way for individuals to ensure that individuals never really truly own their properties. And this is why a debt-based ownership on your property is always encouraged. In fact, it's the preferred way to acquire so-called property that you so-called own, because if it's acquired through debt, it means that you don't really own it. All right. Many of you are the so-called owners of your home, but can you show me the deed to your home? 99% of the people can't show me a deed. That is not ownership. That is renting under the guise of ownership. You're renting, buddy. You're borrowing. Do you understand? You're utilizing the property like a sharecropper utilizes the master's land, like a sharecropper lives in the house owned by the sharecropper owner. The sharecropper uses the land. The sharecropper lives in the house on the land. The sharecropper makes his living off of the land, but is not the owner of the land, not the owner of the structure on the land, makes money from those two things, but still is a renter. And that is the scenario of what is called property ownership today. You owe the real owner for being on the land. You owe the real owner for living in the structure. And you make money from those two things, but from that money, you must pay the real owner. And yes, they will put a title on this arrangement as, yeah, you own it. Yeah, you own it. It's the same thing. You own it. Don't worry about it. Just pay me, right? And that is what is called ownership today. Ownership is you can use it, just pay me, and pay me until you die. This is what ownership has become. It wasn't always that way, but this is what it's become. The powers that be have found a way to own everything and get paid on it forever under the guise of a false form of ownership in name only. This is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is true ownership. Some people might say, well, Oliver, I own my piece of property outright. I have the deed. I can show you the deed. Okay, that's just a second tier of false ownership. It's false because the sharecropper, you're still a sharecropper. The owner of the land that you're sharecropping on still requires that you pay him forever in the form of taxes. Anything that you can be taxed on by another man is not yours. The taxor is the real owner. That's just another word for rent, bro. If you gotta pay forever someone else, I don't care what you call it. In my book, you're renting, you're a renter, you're a sharecropper. And the taxor determines every few years, you know what, guess what? I say that it's time for you to pay me more. That's called a tax assessment on your so-called property. So I'm going to draw the number up and say, I think you should be paying me this now forever until you die. You, under the current property arrangement, you pay another man until you die. That is not property. And that is not ownership. It's a false narrative to keep the sharecropper slave mentality going and to keep you accepting that as, yeah, that's cool. That's okay. That's awesome. I get to use it. I get to make money from it as long as I keep paying the real owner. Anything that you have to pay another man for is not yours. It's the man you pay. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you see the falsity of this? I hope you do. I hope you do. All right. Gold used to be, all right. Gold used to be something that a human being could own, truly own. It was considered money. At the same time, it was considered a store of value. I could entrust my future to this solid form of ownership. No one was going to tax me on it. Once I'm in possession of it, I don't have to pay another man for the right to have it in my possession. This was something that was true ownership, which is why I said true ownership was taken away, but we had it at one particular time. And this form of ownership, however, was co-opted. And so today, you can't really own gold, not in any sufficient amounts. Oh, you can say, this is white gold here. But Oliver, I own this white gold. All right, yeah, fine. Let them have the little tiny insignificant amounts, and okay, yeah, you own it. You own your little tiny insignificant amounts of gold. But I'm talking about real, substantial, massive wealth. When it gets to a place where this is my property, you can't own gold today like that. You have to have that custodied. 99.9% of all the gold in the world today is custodied by another man. You pay another man to custody it, and you don't even know if it's there or not. I had tons of gold in a London vault for 22 years. 22 years. Tons. Never saw it once. Paperwork. Added to it, paperwork. I imagine if I ever ventured to go visit the vault, they'd probably just change the frickin' name on one of them and say, oh, yeah, Mr. Velez is on his way. Take that sign off here, Mr. Velez. Did we spell it right? make sure, make sure it's spelled right up there. You know, gold has been co-opted because it's physical. You can't hold it in your house because if anybody knew you had substantial gold ownership in your house, trust me, bro, your life is in danger. Do you understand? Your life is in danger if you hold massive amounts of gold somewhere. And so gold was co-opted because you couldn't possess it safely, not in significant amounts. You couldn't travel with it safely. You couldn't send it far and wide at all. And so it was easier and safer and more secure to give it to another man. Once another man has it, it's not yours. I don't care what the documents say. Well, Oliver, I've got the documents that say this is my gold. No, you've got documents. That's it. You've got pieces of paper. You don't have gold. Yeah, but this is the right to the gold. You don't have gold. Let me explain something to you. Throughout this entire world, all over this globe, and I'm always telling you this, I don't know how things work in other galaxies, on other planets. I have yet to do intergalactic travel. I don't know about you. I haven't done it yet. So I can't attest for what's done out there. But on this planet, on this green earth, possession is 9/10 of the law. You don't have it. You don't have your asset. You have a piece of paper. It's theirs. It's whoever has the assets. Possession is 9/10 of the law, buddy. They've got 9/10 of the law backing them up if they possess it. I don't care what your rights are. Possession overrules rights 9 times out of every 10. That's what 9/10 of the law means. Go look that shit up. Possession. All right. Your bank possesses the deed, they own it. You understand? The government has your $1 million and you've got a piece of paper in the form of a treasury bill, and they pay you a little 6% interest on it. That's their $1 million. That's not yours. Possession is 9/10 of the law. And so there is no real property today. It's a trick. It's a trick to keep you working and paying another man or a select group of men forever until the day you die. This is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is true, authentic ownership. There is no other man between you and Bitcoin. There is no document between you and Bitcoin. And there is no tax that you have to pay another man for. And if anyone tried to impose that on you, all you have to do is leave. And wherever you go, your property goes with you. I don't understand. I hope you understand what I'm saying here is that the system is designed to keep you working under the guise of ownership, under the guise of having rights, property rights, which you don't have. Money. Some people say, well, Oliver, the money I own is mine. In what world? In what world is the money yours? In what world is the money you work for yours? Tell me. Americans, if you look on any money, if you look on any bill, I don't have any American bills here, but if you look on any money, what does it say? Property of you? That's the property of another man, bro. Another group of men. That's not yours. But Oliver, I gave my time for this. It's not yours, bro. But I worked for it. Not yours. I busted my ass for it. Not yours. Your money is not yours. That's that's given to you to use, but it's not yours. If you were to read the fine print on any banking, it's small little letters there. It's there. You open up an account at a bank. What does it say? When you put the money in the bank, it's ours, not yours anymore. Read it. I'm not making this up. The money in the bank is not yours, it's the bank's. The money you earn that's in your pocket, that's not yours. And you're taxed on it. Anything that you are taxed on is not yours. It belongs to the taxor. All right? So this is crazy. Now, I want you to understand how two things are designed to make sure that you don't own anything. The two things are debt, which we started touching on. Debt always keeps you the non-owner. You're the sharecropper. You're the user. You utilize it, but you never own it. If debt is involved, you never own it, ever. Ever. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right. So debt's been used. Debt's been glorified when it comes to property. I remember all the rage in the 1980s when I was starting my career on Wall Street was real estate with no money down. You know, the idea of playing the game but never owning anything was all the rage back then. Using debt, which ensures that you never really truly become any type of owner of anything. And I'm not saying that there are not artful ways to utilize that. I'm just saying that let's not buy into this notion that it's true ownership or true property rights, because it's not at all. It's renters. You're a renter. And that's all you've ever been before Bitcoin. We've rented things that we've had to pay for forever to utilize under the title of ownership or property, right? Now, the other thing that has been used as a way to prevent, I'll give you an example of this. My mother paid off her first home totally, or was about to pay it off. She was one of these people from the older generations who kind of shunned the idea of a debt, so wanted to pay off the mortgage early. I know some people would say that's dumb, that's stupid from a financial point of view, but this is how the older generations thought. I don't want to owe anything. I want to really truly own it. And just as she was about to pay off the entire mortgage, she was sent a blank check book that she could write checks against for $600,000. Just sent without any solicitation whatsoever. This checkbook from the bank, Mrs. Velez, here's $600,000 and a blank checkbook. You can do whatever you want with this. And of course, it spelled out the terms. It was sort of like, here's a second mortgage. Here's a way for you to use the built up equity in your home. This was encouraged to prevent even a slightly higher level of fake ownership. So debt has been always used in one way to prevent true, authentic ownership. The other thing that has been used historically is interest. So I'm going to say something that I know will probably upset some. But let me say it anyway. All right. Interest paid to you for something. That's a scam. Interest is one of the biggest scams in the financial arena. Understand this. It's a scam. And this is why certain religions have forbidden interest, because it's usury in a way, in one way. But interest paid to you for something is a scam. And let me explain to you how it's a scam. It's a scam to prevent you from ownership. So let me give you an example. You give up in an interest payment scheme, you give up the valuable thing. You give it to another man. That other man has the thing of value. Possession is 9/10 of the law. You have just transferred ownership to the possessor. Now, the possessor has your asset, your valuable. You've lost right there. In exchange for you giving them 9/10 of the rights to that item, they pay you a pittance of the value of the thing. Fair trade? I now have 9/10 of the law behind me. It's mine. You gave it to me. But I'm going to give you something for it. I'm going to give you 4% of it every year. I'm going to give you 6% of the value every year so that you don't balk that I now possess it. I now really own it because possession is 9/10 of the law. Another trick to have you hand over your valuables to another man. Now, how does that seem like a great exchange? I give you $1 million asset. No, let's make it small numbers. I give you a $100,000 asset. You now have possession of my $100,000 asset, and you give me back 6% of it every year. And I'm happy with that arrangement. Bro, you just took my 100,000 and you just give me back 6,000. You get 100, I get 6,000.
Yeah, I'm happy with that, Oliver. I want interest on my Bitcoin. How do I get interest on my Bitcoin, Oliver? Oliver, how do I get interest? I want to give 100,000 and get 6,000 back.
It's a scam for ownership. It's a scam for possession. And the masses have fallen for this. Give me your assets, and I'll throw you some flakes, and you will like it. You will want it. I will sell it so beautifully that you will hand over any goods that your poor little life was able to muster up under my slave system. And I'm going to trick you into giving it back to me, and I will just throw you a few flakes, and I'm going to sell that like that is sound activity. I'm going to sell that to you and the masses. You're going to love it. You're going to love giving me your value. You're going to love giving me what you worked for. And in exchange for that, I'm going to throw you a few flakes, and I'm going to indoctrinate you to believe that that is good. I'm going to send you to universities, and I'm going to teach that to you, that interest being paid on your assets is smart. That's a good thing. It's all bullshit. It's nothing more. Hand your valuables to me. You ever think you're going to walk in a federal building with valuables? With things? No, leave your shit over there. Right? It's a strip down. It's a shakedown. And we've bought into that nonsense. We've bought into that nonsense. And so we, the masses, have been robbed of their property for eons under this guise. Do you know how many people lost property by handing it to someone else in exchange for a little piece every year? Do you know? It's incalculable. It's incalculable. It's the Celsius model on frickin' steroids for time immemorial. Hand me your Bitcoin. I will give you such a small pittance of its value. Oops, I don't have it anymore. Oops, something went wrong. Oops, somebody stole it, Mount Gox. You know? The amount is incalculable. Do you understand? You guys remember the story I told you of the American slaves when they were freed from institutionalized slavery. A law was enacted called 1 acre and a mule law. You can look this up. And every slave or slave family, upon release, was to be given as compensation for the atrocities against them. They were given 1 acre of land and a single mule to work that land for 400 plus years of human slavery. Most, if not nearly all, of the slaves who received their acre and a mule gave the property back under an arrangement that it was still theirs, but they needed to sign a document, and because it was against the law to educate your slaves, the vast majority, 99.9%, didn't know how to read or write. So they didn't understand the documents that they were signing, and they didn't even know how to sign their name. And so a law was enacted that if a slave, a former slave, signed an X, it was a legal signature. and X marks the spot, X marked their signature. And what many of these slaves thought was that they were signing over their land to be used to make money for themselves. And so in many cases, no one would buy after the slaves were released. They wouldn't buy the food from their land. So any food, any vegetables, anything, any cotton, anything or whatever that came from one of those acres and that mule, no one bought it. And so people started coming to them and saying, listen, if you sign this document, put an X on this document, all right, you will be able to sell your things from the land. Just sign here. And these families that were struggling because no one would buy for them felt like this was their survival. Okay, cool. It's still yours. This is just going to give you the right to sell your shit, sell your stuff that you work for. And what they were really doing is handing over possession of the property through a legal document they couldn't sign. Now, there are groups that have gone about, and to commemorate this, they have legally changed their name, their last name to X, to commemorate this massive crime on the former slaves. And so you had people like Malcolm X and things of that nature, Shabazz X, and this movement was largely rooted to bring awareness to this crime with signing an X and giving all of your rights, all of your property, all of your valuables, all of your wealth over to another man. There is no signing of an X with Bitcoin. There is no giving Bitcoin to another man if you really know what it is. The other thing that I will say that is unique to Bitcoin is that it is the purest, most native form of property. Because remember when I said when we're born with, right? We are born with our first form of property, our body. You see? Right? And we're supposed to have full rights over that. And many of those rights have been taken away, right? But this is our first form of property. And we can't really be separated from this property. It's the ground, it's the base layer of property. It's the base layer of property from which all other property springs. Okay? So if this body gets a house, it's springing from your first form of property. But this first form of property, your body, is always with you wherever you go, whatever state you're in, sleep or awake, you have or always with your primal base layer of property. Now there's another. Bitcoin is your base layer of property because there is no possible way for you to be separated from your Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin, in essence, is your 12 to 24 words, your 12 to 24 word seed phrase, your secret. Do you understand? And these words cannot be stolen. They are with you at all times, whether you're asleep or awake, whether you're on a plane, whether you're in this country or that country, this state or that state, this county, this home, or another home. Whether you're this age or older. It is actually a part of who you are, very much like the body is a part of who you are. It becomes the base layer of true, authentic property that can never be separated from you. If you are jailed, your property is with you. If you are killed, your property is killed with you. It's a very powerful thing when you understand this. Are you following what I'm saying? And words can't be stolen. Now, I'm not talking about if you put the words on something and you are careless with it and someone can find those words. I get that. I'm not talking about that. I am talking by no fault of your own. If there's no fault of your own, it's impossible without your consent, without your permission, without you giving it up. Now, I've used this example before. Bitcoin is commonly referred to as hope, especially by Michael Saylor. Bitcoin is hope, right? So if we take that one word, if hope, the letters HOPE, hope, those letters are your Bitcoin. Let's say that's your seed phrase, hope, HOPE. No one knows, but that's your secret, okay? And you now, for the first time, you receive your words, you receive your Bitcoin, and it's hope, HOPE. How does someone take hope away from you? How does someone take the letters HOPE and make them disappear from your life? How does someone say, from this day forward, you shall be banned from the letters HOPE? They are no longer yours. You can no longer have access to these letters. You are banished from these letters for the rest of your existence. Do you still have it? Can a document take the letters HOPE from you? Can imprisonment take the letters HOPE from you? Can someone insert themselves into your brain and somehow remove those letters? And instead of 27 letters of the alphabet, you have less? No. Your Bitcoin can't be taken. And we're so entrenched in the sharecropper mindset that we have lost how valuable that is, how powerful that is, how self-sovereign that is. We've lost the importance of self-sovereignty, total control over myself and my property. Total independence where no man can ruin, take away, steal this from me. It's the only thing on earth that we have that way. Now, based on what I've explained to you, is a spot Bitcoin ETF, those shares, is that this? Or is that just the same bullshit I've been talking about? Oh, we close on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can't touch it. Oh, we close at 4 p.m. each day. You can't have access. You got to wait for tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern, New York time. Oh, you want to withdraw? You have to go through us to do that. Same bullshit, no? That's not freedom. That's not self-sovereignty. That's not property. Seeking the permission, another man between you and your affairs. If another man is between you and your property, it's not yours. If you need the permission of another man to do something with it, it's not yours. If another man has to tell you when the working hours are, it's not yours. Does another man have to tell you when to access your index finger? Wait a minute. You can't access your index finger because we're closed. No. Does another man have to be between you and the interaction between you and your index finger? No. That's really yours. Bitcoin is like that. It's really yours. ETF shares, that's not yours. And not only is the Bitcoin not yours, the shares aren't yours either. Show me the share certificate. Just like if someone, I'd say to people who have property, show me the deed. Show me the share certificate. But Oliver, it's a digital number on a screen. I can do that. Give me a second. Here's a digit on the screen. I can type digits on a screen. That's what they did with my goal. They typed digits on a screen for me, said I had this amount of gold. It was digits on a screen and digits typed on pieces of paper. That's what my gold was. When you really look at it properly, it's the silliest shit. Can you see our great grandchildren understanding that we accepted this and we liked it? Saying, but granddad, you guys were that stupid? You'd be like, yes, grandson, we didn't know. I mean, you had to ask for it. And they could say no, and you still thought it was yours? Yes, grandson, we didn't know. You didn't have it. Another man had it, but you thought it was yours even though another man had it? Yeah, I know it sounds kind of silly now, but we didn't know, grandson. Our future generations are going to freaking laugh at us. Do you understand? Our grandkids, our great grandkids, they're going to laugh at us because they're going to have Bitcoin. Oh, shit. Sorry about that. They're going to have Bitcoin, you know? That's why they're going to laugh at us. All right, guys. That's right. No more slavery. Bitcoin is freedom. I use that term a lot, but I only get time during these talks to really delve into what I mean by that. Because, you know, some people, some passers-by on my posts, hey, yeah, Oliver's got his, you know, he's the Bitcoin is freedom guy, whatever, you know, not truly understanding the underlying significance of that. It's real freedom, real freedom. All right. All right. Guys, what have you got for me here? Any questions? Let's see. Any questions tonight? 1,300 people tonight. Not bad. All right. New York time, huh? All right. Yeah. I'm 1 hour back from New York time where I am here. That is right. Own a piece of freedom. The protocol of freedom. Do you realize that for the first time, humans can own a piece of a protocol? We've never been able to own a piece of a protocol. Do you understand? There are many protocols, but we've never really been able to own a piece of a protocol. The most recent protocol was the internet. We were able to own some of the things that were built on top of the internet. Google, Meta, you know what I'm saying. But we were never able to own the land that they built their empires on. And this land that they built their empires on, called the internet, created the world's first $1 trillion assets. But we could own the assets that were built on top of the land, but the land, the protocol, we were never able to own a piece of what gave them life, what gave birth to the world's first $1 trillion assets. But today, we have a bigger protocol called not the internet, but the internet of money. And that's a far bigger protocol than the internet of information and knowledge. This is the internet of money. It is what makes the freaking world go around. It is what affects every single human being on planet Earth. And we, every single individual, can stake their claim in this protocol and own a piece of the property upon which the world's next 10, 20, $30 trillion assets will be built. This is big, guys. This is big. Wow. All right. All right. What else, guys? What else? Nothing? That's all you got for me? Am I streaming this on besides on X? No. I've been tempted to do it on my YouTube channel at the same time. But guys, I try to be really careful to not mix my messages. So my YouTube channel, for the most part, is dedicated largely to my other life, the only thing I've ever done with my life, which is trade financial markets. And I decided that Twitter, which became X.com, right, would be the medium through which I build my library of thoughts and ideas about Bitcoin here. And I find that keeping that somewhat of a line of demarcation between those two are helpful, because I don't want anyone to get things twisted. I am not trying to sell you anything. I am not trying to get at your money in any way. I don't need it. I don't even want it. I'd rather you put it in frickin' Bitcoin. Or I'm not here to do that. All I'm here at the message is our window of opportunity to grab a piece of the greatest opportunity human beings have ever been exposed to. That window of opportunity is very, very small, and it's closing very rapidly. It may not feel like it to you on a moment by moment basis, day by day, month by month, and sometimes even on a year by year basis. But I will tell you that this asset is disappearing at an alarming rate. And at one point, the effects of that disappearance is going to be felt in ways that I don't think words in any language have the capacity to encapsulate and communicate properly. And you need to be ready for that. You need to be ready for the moment when true scarcity, provable scarcity, not the fake bullshit that they've sold us on as scarce, not that, real, true, provable, mathematically provable scarcity that is finite. You realize that Bitcoin is the only asset on planet Earth that is truly finite. We've never had something that's finite. And this is why it is misunderstood and underappreciated today, because we've never known anything that is absolutely finite. But its finiteness and the true reality of its scarcity will ultimately be felt. And by the time that is felt, by the time the disappearance of this asset begins to manifest itself outwardly, when we start to see the effects of it, it is going to be too late to grab it then. You know, the best time for a project is pre-construction, pre the happening. And there are too many people out here saying, I just need more proof. I need to see more. We've got 15 years. You don't need to see more. What do you need? Another 15 years, another 80 years? You're probably going to live 80 plus years in your life. That's the average, right? 84 years. It's already 15 years. How much more of your life are you going to wait to see that this is the number one thing in every single category on Earth, best performing asset on planet Earth, fastest adopted technology the world has ever seen, the most secure network in the history of human mankind, and the only thing that human beings have not found a way to crack or halt or bring down? What the fuck you need? What else do you freaking need? Need another 50 years? There's too many people saying, well, Oliver, Bitcoin doesn't do this yet. Good. Well, wait a minute. When can I buy a milkshake with it? You don't want to freaking buy. You don't even want that to be the case right now. That all of that means that we're early. The opportunity is not after every single I is dotted and every single T is crossed and 99% of the world gets it. That's when you think it's time? Bozo? That's crazy. It's when most of the I's are still have to be dotted, and there are many T's that still have to be crossed, and the vast majority of the world still don't get it, doesn't get it. That's when the opportunity is the greatest, not after that. Ah! All right. All right, guys. What else? What else you got for me? I appreciate that. Bob Bob Bobbert, I think it is. I appreciate that. Thank you. Uh what else? um it may cause wars once all fiat currencies fail in the world. I'm not so sure about that. I think if anything can bring about a peaceful revolution, it is Bitcoin, because how do you war for it? Wars have all been about money. Even the ones that were so called about religion and God and things of this nature, at the base layer, all wars are about money. The control of the most supreme thing on earth. Okay? And those two things, there are two things that have for thousands of years been the supreme things on earth to war for. What do I mean by war for? To take via violence. That is land and gold. All wars come down to these two things: taking control of another man's land and taking control and pilfering their gold. Ever hear that? He who has the gold makes the rules. And this is why land and gold have always brought about violence, has always brought about war, because they are two things that can be taken by violence, by force. Bitcoin cannot be taken by violence or by force. If you kill a Bitcoiner, do you get the jewels? You don't. So there's no incentive to kill the Bitcoiner. You don't get it anyway. And so if there's any thing that can bring about a true peaceful transition, it is Bitcoin, because it can't be taken by force. It can't be confiscated. It can't be stolen. And so now we have to come together and work out our differences another way. It's truly special, guys. It's truly special. Yeah. All right. Nothing else? I guess I'm seeing all the comments here. All right. I get this question all the time. And I think this is a good way. This is a good time, guys, for me to bring this up for you. It's a really good time to bring this up for you. But give me a second here. Why can't I find this? Oh, okay. I get it. I get it. All right. It is said that this is actually said by Jason Lopp, whom I have a great deal of respect for. But it is said, or has been stated by Jason Lopp, that out of all the Bitcoiners in the world that exist, more or less 13%, only 13%, he said, are true 100% Bitcoiners and nothing else, meaning that they believe Bitcoin is the only solution, the only thing, and will not bother with anything else. So being a Bitcoiner is already rare because less than 0.5% of the entire world's population. There are 8 billion people on Earth today. Less than 0.5% of the entire human race has Bitcoin. And that makes you extraordinarily rare if you have Bitcoin today. But a 13%er is the rarest group of all. They're that small portion of the rare. They're a rarer portion of the rare that's Bitcoin only. And that is what I am. I am. My name is Oliver Velez, and I am a Bitcoin 13%er. Take a photo. You know what I'm saying? All right. All right. That's what that means. This sort of just reminds me here, if I can do this here, guys. I want to show you something here. I'll do it like this. Let's see. Give me just a second here. Boom. Yeah. Okay. This is my Twitter or x.com page, as you can see. I'm trying to find that comment to remove it. Give me a second here, guys. And I just do it like this. Thank you, Kiet. Thank you. I appreciate that. I want to scroll through this because I want to show you this. Bitcoin Unleashed. Guys, if you're finding anything of interest here that I'm talking, if anything that I'm telling you today resonates with you in any way, and you're interested in knowing where all of these talks wind up, they wind up on my Bitcoin podcast. All right. Absolutely free to access, no obligation whatsoever to do anything but just listen. All of them. And they are this podcast is available on all pretty much all of your popular podcasting platforms. So I will show you that by clicking on that link. What you can do is go to, give me a second here. It'll go to this page where you can There's a version of Bitcoin Unleashed on YouTube with visuals. All right. Spotify, Fountain, Apple, Spreaker, Google, Amazon, these are pretty much everywhere. Okay. You can access any format you like from here. And I lost track of how many hours of talking about Bitcoin is here. But if you do treadmill work, like I do, or work out, or take walks, or you walk your dog, or you walk on the beach, or whatever, this is a great way to for us to get together and take in some Bitcoin content, right? That's only if anything I've said resonates with you in any way, right? That's if not, then no problem. Do the crying voice, Ollie. We love it. But Oliver, that's how they sound, right? Can you imagine all of the Bitcoin naysayers, the doubters? I always imagine them. I don't know why. For some reason, I always sort of hear them in my mind. But Oliver, what if the government bans Bitcoin, Oliver? Like the government can't ban Bitcoin, bozo. They can only ban themselves from Bitcoin, bozo. But Oliver, what if aliens come down and blow up the entire planet, Oliver? Then the last problem we have is Bitcoin, right? That's existential, right, bozo? We're gone. We're finished. But I always hear them in my mind like that. Oliver, but Oliver, weak. All right, guys, you got nothing for me here. All right. All right. The light on the questions here today. No problem. But 1,500, we got it to 1,500, guys. Listen, I want to thank you. Bitcoin is the rarest, will become the hardest money and the hardest asset in the world right now on April 20th. We live in a simulation, right? That's crazy. April 20th, that is the estimated date right now, based on the estimation of the frequency of the blocks right now. April 20th, it will become the hardest money and the hardest asset, right, known to man, surpassing in one fell swoop gold and real estate. And it will, from that point, get exponentially more and more hard and more hard and more hard, which is another way of saying it's just hard to come by more, right? And so this will also guarantee that it becomes scarcer and scarcer and scarcer. So in April, we will have the hardest thing human beings have ever encountered and the scarcest thing on earth, and the only thing on earth that is truly provable finite. And this is mind-boggling. But the most valuable thing in your life is your time. With all of that being said, there is nothing more valuable than your time. And so it's Bitcoin and your time. The scarcest, most valuable things on earth. You tonight, you gave me one of them. I wish you gave me both of them. No, I'm teasing. But you gave me your time. That is something that I truly do not take for granted. And I promise you, every single time I address you, I will do everything in my power to try to give something of value, something that you can walk away from, something that you can ponder on, and maybe something that you can utilize and benefit from for the rest of your life. I hope I've done that here tonight. If I haven't, I promise I'll get better every single time. All right, guys. Enjoy your evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you're in the world. Until next time, you know what to do. Go to work. Go to work. Stack harder.
My name
Stack
is
harder.
Oliver Velez, and I am your 13%er Bitcoiner. Be safe out there, and until next time. Boom!